Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Angie, from Charmed Persons, and Ian, also from Charmed Persons. And wildly enough, we're in the same space together.
It's fun. It's weird. Haven't
Yeah.
had a lot of opportunities to get together with any of the D&D people.
No. And when we do, it's
person.
not like
Yeah.
in front of a camera.
No. Played a
Plot twist.
couple games with you as the DM, but that wasn't really so
Yeah.
much like charmed person stuff. Just friends getting together,
Yeah.
which I felt really good, and
It
I'm glad
did.
to be able to do it now here with you.
Aw. Let's just gaze into each other's eyes the rest of this time
Yeah.
and make everyone jealous. Where are we looking? Looking at you mostly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome to another segment of Charmed Persons. Last week we chatted with Zach Tabor, who is our DM, who kind of put together the charmed people, charmed persons. But today we're talking with Ian, who has, to my, Zach had to like put me in my place though, because I have always just imagined you and Eric and Matt all from the very beginning, and like y'all came in kind of later in our like OG campaign, but then you were in Charmed Persons right off the bat.
Charmed Person rose out that BTG, as early as most people were, had a couple sessions in the proto version of this group with Red Chorus. That,
our very first.
Yeah. But I've been playing D&D with Zach for a while now.
Basically since like his non-college experience.
Yeah, right. And I don't know if I think Zach played like a little bit before then, but he had come to me years ago and was like, "Hey, I'm interested in doing this. Let's find some people that we could make this happen." And I DM'd Zach for a while back then, and we played Curse of Strahd for a little while.
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
I think I saw one session.
You got to sit in, I think maybe on the Christmas episode 2 that we did.
Oh yeah,
which that was great.
That was fun.
Yeah. So
I think even before I played, even before Zach put together our very first campaign, like that was my very first seeing a session. And I remember sitting in a little chair off to the side watching you guys and being like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I remember that because I'd set up, I'd given you dice just to let you feel like included and like be a part of it, and you're like, am I playing today? Like,
oh
no,
god, I got so I remember
you're fine.
I remember that. Performance anxiety for sure. So all that to say, my first question, aside from your start with Charmed Person / Zach / your role kind of in our early campaigns, how did you get started in D&D? You, Ian.
So I got started. I'm surprised I didn't get started sooner, I would say, because my dad was into D&D for a little while when I was a kid, playing, I think, 3rd edition, maybe 3.5 with some friends in my hometown. And so we had stuff at home. He had little minis. He had some of the books and character sheet, and he kind of explained some things to me back then, but I didn't really get what was happening. And then of course you see a lot of references to it in media, and now more so than ever. But I didn't start playing D&D until college. I want to say my sophomore year, with some friends. Anybody familiar with Muncie may know the Apathy Wizards. Basically, the entire band pulled me in. Thor was my first dungeon master, and he was the first person to really show me what I like to still think of my DM style, that is to make sure that everybody's having fun, to say yes, and which has carried over so well to this group of mostly improv people and theater people. And that was, another group of creative people. They were all musicians, and all had their own distinct styles, and it was a very good time and a really great way to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and to learn that every table has its own set of rules. So, yeah, been playing now for a decade, which feels like a long time and no time at all with this game and all the things that there is to learn. And I was learning 4th edition, which a lot of people have strong feelings about. When you don't know anything else, it felt really good, and now that we're in 5th edition, that feels even better. So much more accessible, so much easier to bring friends and drag them into it and show them what's going on, and let it be a part of their lives too. Sucker them into buying books and dice.
You mean like you do with me?
Exactly. Yeah.
Who, when you gave me my first set of dice, it was my only set for like a year, and now I have 6.
Everybody gets their first taste for free until you join the D&D MLM. Then you just got to hook 5 more friends in, and then you too can have your own at-home game. You can have your own homebrew on D&D Beyond. Wow, sorry we didn't tell anyone about this MLM that we were developing, but get ready. Amazing. I love that you learned D&D essentially from musicians. I'm deeply into the book and the movie, or the book and the show Station 11 right now, and like the duality of like they have the musicians and then they have the actors very much feels like what you just described, of like we're all commingling, we're all creative people, but there's a very distinct difference in style of like how people come to a table. Do you have like, what are some like differences, or what are some main things that stick out in your head of like, oh, that's very different, aside from it being like 4E? Right. Yeah. For me, I mean, the difference from table to table is always going to be different, even campaign to campaign with the same DM, because people learn so much, they grow so much, they change how they play their characters, they change how they, like, what rules they focus on. But yeah, for me, being at a table with a bunch of people who would be completely exhausted, because we play on Sundays, and so they'd been like playing shows the whole weekend, and it was college, so most of us were tired for other reasons when we would show up on Sunday. But then we would play like 10 to 12 hour D&D sessions every single
10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, every single Sunday, which now when we play our 4-hour sessions on Sundays, it's like, it's over so fast. I have to say goodbye to my friends and these characters, and we bounce out so quickly. And that was grueling and exhausting. 4th edition kind of demanded that, because combat would roll so much slower. And we had also another big group of people. That was 7 or 8 of us at that table as well. And so getting together and just like having meals together, playing a game throughout the day, and like taking a break in the middle, it was marathon theater. For sure.
Absolutely.
And again, you have to really like the people that you're going to be stuck at a table with for
10 to 12 hours. So it's like family Sundays.
Exactly. It's like, we're all getting together whether you like it or not, because you said you'd be here, damn it.
But we have a game to play.
This is serious.
We take our fun very seriously. So that kind of leads me into you said that your D&D or your DM style kind of originated from these early campaigns that you played and had kind of an influence. You are a person who you get like, okay, so if you know how to DM and you know how to DM well, I've heard, Zach say this, I've heard other DMs say this. I'm pretty sure Brennan Lee Mulligan has gotten caught up in like the forever DM thing. But you are kind of a person who has managed to escape that and kind of equal parts DM, equal parts player.
I think I'm very lucky in that sense. For a while I was worried about getting stuck there, and we have our wonderful forever DM of our own who is stuck. Luckily, we get to do our long shot Mondays, and Zach, I mean, he loves to DM. I think it's his favorite part truly.
I think he did, yeah.
Um,
I'm not going to tell him though.
and being, I mean, like the difference between being a player and being a dungeon master, there's a lot of differences in terms of the amount of work that you have to put in. But truly, I mean, getting to flex back towards being more a DM more often would be something that I'd be interested in. For nothing else than like, we're doing this long campaign, and I love it. I love my character. I love the characters that each one of us has. But being able to kind of use any ideas that you have for a character, I feel like as a player, you're sitting there, and you're like, "Ooh, I have this idea for a character. Who knows when I'll die? Who knows like when I'll get to like execute and use that character at some point in time." And DMs just get to like work that into the NPCs and the people that you run into, and kind of use that as their DM character, which Zach tends to do pretty frequently. I have adopted that and do it pretty frequently as well, as a way to kind of connect with the party and be there with them as more than just somebody who's guiding a story, but a character in the world that you've created. Because it's either I feel like you either get to play in the world that you create, or you get to create the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, now having DM'd a little bit and written out a story, and like I don't know like where some of that is going, but I'm really excited to find out if we ever get to explore more of your worlds.
Yeah, it's wild. It's such a wild like muscle to have. And like, so my background is in directing, and when I first started playing D&D, I really liked being a player because I was, already knee deep in like having my head and everything already, that it felt really nice to just have like a singular focus. But then like, so Ian and I, and Zach and Emily and Ian's partner Shelby, shout out to Shelby, they ended up being kind of my play testers for this little like, I think we only played 2 sessions, really. It feels like we played more.
We played 2 sessions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Of just like super, basically an experiment for me to DM.
Yeah.
But it was wild having like you and Zach both be there, because literally like I would look up from the table and be like, how do I do this? And it was so like, I would never have been able to do that with any other group of people.
I mean, it takes, like, I mean, for me playing with a couple other people who've dungeon mastered for a long period of time now, with Zach, I know Eric has, Matt has done a lot of one shots with us too. Evan's written homebrew stuff, and each one of us has very different writing styles, very different play styles, and all of us I think are really good at like helping fill in the gaps of our knowledge base, but also letting go and letting the story that you want to tell be told, and let the rules that you want to focus on be the ones that you want to focus on. And if a rule that you make goes against the rule that's like as written in a book, like nobody gets hung up on that.
No. So. And that's what I was so like, especially in those first sessions, like I remember being like, what do I have to roll in order for you to do this? And Zach's like, you just make it up. And I was like, oh, yes. And I think that's beautiful. There's something very beautiful. And like, cause then that brings me to, I know Zach and I talked last week about both really enjoying the role play of the thing. And like his very early sessions with his group were, very stats based, very rules based, and he was not jiving with it. But you, and I'm pretty sure I shouted out Matt too, and Eric, are like, you have such a handle on, like, you're an encyclopedia essentially of these stats and these rules, and like not in a way that's like you're a stickler for them, but if someone's like, oh, what does that spell do, and you're like, no, I know exactly what that spell does, I can tell you what page it's on and what book, like that's what it feels like. And it's so wildly impressive to like, I don't know what, like that's not a question or anything, that's just me like
gushing,
gassing you up, I guess. But where does that, like, is that something that interests you, or is that just kind of like as you're learning about the game?
So I think like for me, for this system for D&D, for this system, like when you want to DM, when you want to use these rules, and it's a great system to make it work for whatever you want it to do, largely, especially in like high fantasy setting stuff, is understanding the intention of rules more than the language of the rules, and what they're there for. Like, why is something an at will, like a cantrip? Why is there not a limitation on how many times this can be cast? Why is there spell slots? Like the ways that you can kind of work with those rules to then like add your own things into it. That's how I mean, like, for when you're implementing homebrew, like keeping things from being like completely broken within a system, while also letting people just like thrive and take an idea and run with it, whether it's something that I've put into the world or if it's something that like a character wanted to put into the world. And I think being able to flex that creativity as a player who brings stuff to Zach where I'm like, hey, I think this is a really great idea. I've done the homework to like figure out like how this fits and compares to other like classes, creatures, races, spells. Can I do it?
Can I?
Please,
please
I have?
Let me?
And Zach Zach is a very amenable DM, but especially like being able to do that work, to help. I mean, at a table where when we were first playing and Zach was practicing being a DM, being able to like help out without like pushing myself into the story that he's trying to tell at all. And I hope that like for you, when you've done the game with us, that Zach and I can kind of like help you feel confident that like if you don't know something, probably one of the two of us does know. And even if you don't, and even if it goes completely against the rules of what like Dungeons and Dragons is supposed to be, what any game system's supposed to be, that like it doesn't matter because it's yours.
Yeah.
So
there is no supposed to be.
There's no
anymore.
Supposed to be.
Like
it's ours, and it's the table that you're playing at. It's collaborative, and that's what I want, and I want to have done enough work to make that easier for everybody else.
Yeah. Aww. You're like one of those selfless DMs. You don't have no agenda, just the story.
Just the story.
So
I want everybody to have a good time.
Well, listen, we know that.
Hey, breaking up this love party here for just a second. Producer Zach chiming in. You're getting some messages in the Twitch chat. Just want to let you guys know to check it out.
Twitch chat. Who's talking? Charmed person says the true birth of people watching D&D. Oh, they have timestamps on it. Yes. I've never actually looked at the Twitch chat before.
Well, here we are with messages in the Twitch chat. Emily does say that you are a fantastic DM.
Emily, you have to say that because you're my friend. Just kidding. Thank you. I will take it and I will keep DMing. I told myself last time after the Valentine's Day one shot, we signed off and I was just like, if you keep doing it, you keep getting better. Yeah. and I was like, because it really is fun. Like it can be stressful in the sense of like, you are the person who, even if you don't know, you have to know something, or you have to like know who to ask or know where to go. And I am still very much in that mindset of like, as a director, I'm telling a cohesive story. And so I get stuck in the pacing of it. And so I'm trying to like push the pacing and I'm like, oh no, we're playing a game. This is a different medium. Angie, you don't have to be on stage right now.
Yeah. I think the stages of learning how to tell this story in Dungeons and Dragons, to like be a DM and to like guide people towards a goal while also letting them explore, and like you have a story that you want them to experience, you have a world that you want them to explore, and you also kind of are just at the whim of like where they choose to go sometimes. And I think that is the endless riddle of Dungeons and Dragons storytelling, is how to get people to think it's their idea to go in the direction that you want them to go in,
The
without
true
railroading
art.
them. And yeah.
Like us spending half of our session on Sunday in a brothel.
Well, yeah.
And Zach being like, okay, we're still here. We're still at this brothel.
Yeah. Zach, I think, loves something that happens in our games a lot, that is truth or dare, or in this case,
Oh my God.
honesty or compelled action. Because it's like, once that starts, Zach kind of knows he can just maybe like kick his heels back for a half hour,
See where we go.
see where we go,
Where we take ourselves.
And it also is a really, I love truth or dare in our games, because it does let us kind of flesh out our characters, answer some questions for ourselves with like, oh, what is our backstory that this person has just asked us to reveal? Would our character do this if put on the spot?
It's a very enticing way to get exposition. And like, because I think truth or dare specifically, or honesty or compelled action, not only is like a way to get a truth or a dare from someone, but it's also kind of gauging how they react to stress, or how they, and like that's good for character building within yourself too. Is like, if my character is asked honesty or compelled action, how does that make my character feel? How do I relate to being asked personal things about myself, or being told to do daring activities? Like, where am I lying in that spectrum?
And are you a people pleaser?
Yeah.
Are you going to do it because somebody told you to do it? Are you going to rebuff that in shame? Or
what other characters are like, especially if you are playing a character who is, you know, really observant or needs information, who can I now suss out is going to be a little more vulnerable, or going to get me what I want? Like, it's just such a fascinating integration, I think, because that's been kind of a cornerstone of our campaign specifically. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of other
in the chat,
people.
Charm persons. I don't know if that's Zach behind the keyboard, but if we don't think that we are going to have truth or dare in the first 3 sessions of campaign 2, we're lying to ourselves, is absolutely right. And I think especially as we go into that one with a little bit better understanding of like how each one of us fits into the group, but not knowing who these characters are for ourselves, and how we relate to the other people in the group. That is a really great mechanism for seeing like where those hierarchies shake out, where those interests, those commonalities, who's gonna play with me in a bit, who's gonna and who's gonna who
is my character going to partner with,
which
essentially.
Is and also very exciting to talk about campaign 2.
It's out there now. It's out there. Campaign 2 will happen.
Build some intrigue.
Yeah. If we say campaign 2 enough, do you think? Campaign 2. Who knows what it's about, though?
Who knows?
We've gotten a little bit of spoilers. In terms of like
where it's going to be
character creation of
like
what to expect. But I've already started creating my character, at least on D&D Beyond.
In my heart, I have started to create my character.
I think this will be a good character if I do get to play it. So Zach, I know you're listening because you're right there, but
are you there, God?
Are you there, DM? It's me, Angie. We've derailed.
We have derailed. No,
I love this though.
No, but you were talking about earlier. You were talking about learning things as you go and developing your skills as a DM, and knowing that like, okay, next time it'll be better.
Oh yeah. And I think in a one shot specifically, that really serves like having that path, like in the Valentine's campaign or the Valentine's Day one shot, like having the like, okay, they need to get from point A to point B to point C to point D, and there's a little bit of room for like variance and like a little, maybe like a conversation or two, or like an encounter or something. But generally speaking, it's easier to like direct a one shot, quote unquote.
Because if people go completely unhinged, like maybe you don't get to tell the story that you like, maybe you don't get like all the way through what you wanted to get through. But if people die, if people like run off and like do a thing, and I know that as a person who's written characters for one shots, like, oh, there's some freedom. Excited to also again make a character for Matt's
Oh yes,
long shot that's coming up.
In hell.
In hell.
That's gonna be wild.
Where he's basically telling us to make chaotic characters. So yeah, there's room for those things to be flexed, and I'm excited. But yeah, I know that you talked about this with Zach when you had your conversation with him of kind of a preference between virtual and in-person stuff. And for me, as a person who's been playing Dungeons and Dragons for a very long time, as a person who's DM'd for quite a while as well, the learning curve that is there to integrate all of these D&D storytelling mechanisms into a virtual space, whether that's using Roll20, where there's a visual board, virtual board rather, and there's a lot of visual things that you can add to that, and having your tokens out there and the map. And I know that you just did that for the Valentine's Day thing. And for me, it feels hugely daunting to try and,
really?
and do that. And that it's so much easier for me to just like, this is something I'll work on for later. This is something that I'll learn for later. I don't want to get distracted. I don't want something to go wrong in the middle of stream. We're just gonna do theater of the mind, and that works really well with us because we're used to playing in those spaces, I think. And even when we played in person was not uncommon. But it feels very odd to me as somebody who creates dioramas and minis and all these like
the very physical,
fun tactile things that like people can play with and touch and pick up and be in awe of in the real space where we play, to not have that mechanic and component of my virtual sessions where I'm DMing. And I'm always hugely in awe when people can figure that out and master it. Yeah, and even knowing like when I have DM'd the one shots that we've done, it getting recorded and it being stream, it's like, oh no.
There always is that little like Zach always checks in to be like, do you want it recorded or do you want it live streamed? And there's always that little bit of like anyone who's new is like, I think Matt's really been the only one that's like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. But Matt is fearless. Matt is just
a precious little angel.
We
love you, Matt.
We love you, Matt.
Wherever you are right now, we love you. That's so interesting because like it really is because for me having maps and having tokens and having visuals, like I'm a very visual person. And so I do love having minis, but I myself as a DM or as someone who is like, living in this world, I'm doing it now. Like it's hard for me to find my words in a very cohesive way. And so in order to do theater of the mind, I think that in itself is as much of a talent as creating these maps or being able to handle and manage all of that kind of, virtual information. Because to be able to like, I say, okay, we're doing theater of the mind is a very different thing than when Ian says, okay, we're doing theater of the mind. Like I trust you to do theater of the mind because you have a very eloquent and very like put together way of describing a scenario or describing a situation. So it's very interesting. I guess like it makes sense that you prefer theater of the mind just because of how you operate. But being like the minis champion and like the terrains champion that you are, having that not translate as well into the virtual. Very interesting.
It makes me feel a little bit like a Luddite when it's like, I know I have all these these things I can create a physical world for people to play in, and I haven't been able to like do that, explore that space in the virtual realm. So if anybody wants to help me out.
There have been, and I don't remember what stream it was. I'll shout it out if I do. But there was like, I just clicking through some like D&D streams one day, and somebody had this setup where it was like, I've seen people do it with like Hero Forge minis that they make that are like digital.
Right.
I've seen like stuff like that.
Mm.
I've seen some sort of 3D modeling happening in like, so it's like, you know, you have your panels of Zoom and then you have the camera.
Right. That's
but
down
it's like
on, like in the world with the,
but it's not, it's a 3D model.
Right.
It's not like a tactile thing. It's like
Yeah.
somebody on a computer has made a model.
Yeah.
And it's like wild.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
It's
that
a
is
video
like
game.
how,
Yeah.
it's like somebody developed a video game for their D&D campaign because of talent, raw talent. But it's there like, because we use Roll20 and we always have just kind of used Roll20, but I wonder if that's something that's like in your realm of interest, if we do keep doing these digital sessions of like Ian, our game maker and our world builder.
Pachinko, do you have questions?
Pachinko, this is Pachinko. You can't have Zooms without cats. Pachinko, do you want to say anything to your parent? Exactly. You heard it here first, folks. Okay, I have to ask. I know you said you like DMing. I know you said you like playing. If you had to do one for the rest of your life,
Oh, no.
if you could only pick one.
Oh no. I think
Honesty or compelled action?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I love DMing. It can take a lot of work, and it's very easy to show up, I think, to a table as a player.
Mm-hmm. It's very low stakes.
It's very low stakes. As long as you're prepared and
Yeah.
like, ready to play with people, it can always, I think, be something you walk into a little bit easier. And as a DM, I love DMing. I love creating a story. I love creating a world. The pressure put on myself, and I know that Zach goes through this too. I'm sure you have in the experience of just like writing stuff for a session right up until the minute that people like show up for a session, which can be hugely satisfying. But also doing that and then a group of people going the opposite, like your players go in the opposite direction of what you'd planned for that day, or like completely ignoring a cool, interesting character that you wanted them to talk to, a plot hook, can be so dissatisfying. I think so. I think if I had to choose and I was locked down, I would choose player, but I would deeply, deeply miss the good parts of Dungeon Master, of writing stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that's bold. Because you have talked so deeply for your love of DMing, and like, you'd have to give that up.
I would, and like then the pressure is to like find somebody who is a DM and is a good DM.
And who chooses in this world
in
of
this world.
choice.
Yeah.
Luckily we don't live in that world and you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should continue.
Mm.
We did earlier throw out on our Instagram an opportunity for people to ask questions of Ian, and I think Ian did have one that we wanted to pull from. Yeah, because you posted on your personal account too. So
I had one serious one. Let's double check and make sure there aren't any others.
Oh, I'll check. Let's all be on our phones like millennials.
Real quick.
Just real quick, let me like pop onto the Charmed Persons Instagram. Follow us at Charmed Persons on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Shameless plug.
It's the least shameless thing I've ever done. I do have one from one of our players, if you want to first. This is a very serious question from Evan Cullinan, aka Elburn, in the Lake Peak 7. Can Ian save some smolder for the rest of us? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts indeed? I think I don't think I can. I
don't think you should, honestly. I think you, out of everyone, are the most smoldery, smizy person in the group. In our group, yeah.
I'm a particularly vain person. I think long and hard.
Since when?
Since when? I don't know.
I'm the most humbly vain human being in this earth.
So here we are.
Yeah. You are getting a little, and I only say this because I know a lot, from previous characters that we've played with together. But Rev is getting a little like shot at romance sometimes in this campaign, and that is something that is very
this is probably
different.
the most flirtatious character that I've played with this group in any form or fashion.
Kind of love that for you.
Yeah, no, it's been fun to explore that. I think playing romantic, flirty characters with at any table, you got to know the people you're playing with, because consent is important, even in a fantasy setting. You got to check in, make sure everybody's comfortable.
So I was reading that.
Oh,
and
sure.
also getting close to you.
I thought we were giving a direct shot down
are we
down
doing
the camera.
Hey, consent is everything.
So yeah, I usually save that until I know how everybody feels, and I feel really safe and comfortable with this group, and that they would speak up and let me know if I ever cross the line. But these are with NPCs, so this is Zach's doing.
And Zach initiated it.
Yeah,
well, Talia initiated it,
sure.
but so that feels good.
I think it's Zach who maybe has a budding romance with me.
Oh, I ship it. Honestly. Honesty or compelled action, Zach. What's happening? There's something happening on the chat. I gotta know. I mean,
Shelby, I think is speaking to a question.
About the
chat. So it was very similar to Smolder. And I gotta say, you gotta do your squats. You gotta eat well. You gotta
Shelby. That's it. That's the secret. Squats and snacks. Squats and snacks.
Yeah. Practice in the mirror. Practice. So
everybody else watching this who doesn't know what this question is going to be like, what is this question? Honesty or compelled action you to answer that in your Instagram.
Oh, I will. Yeah. I will answer in the Instagram.
Squats and snacks.
Come find me on my Instagram at Days of Roses to get the scoop.
This is like our secret Patreon.
Yeah. The legitimate question that I did get was from another Ball State person who's also here in Chicago. Dear friend, one of the first people that I met in Muncie, Rico asks what my favorite class is.
And here comes Pachinko.
Small intermission.
Beep boop. Oh, sweet angel.
So yeah, what is my favorite class? And this is a hard question for me because I don't know the last time that I played a character that was just one class.
You're a notorious multi-classer.
Usually multi-class because I can't be locked down. I can't decide between if I get to hit things or if I get to
cast
magic. So usually I split myself up a little bit. But if I had to pick one, it would be cleric. Cleric kind of gets to be both, and they get to be useful and helpful and help their friends. But they also have a huge amount of variation in their subclasses and their spell book and the weird and interesting feats that they get to have, and the flavor that you can add to a cleric by just changing the deity. And how they ritualize their connection to those deities is just there's so much space there for storytelling, for RP, for the character to kind of grow and flow, and so cleric, you get to heal, you get to cast spells, you get to hit stuff still, and have a nice tanky AC. So
tanky AC.
Yeah.
I want to coin that.
Tanky AC.
Tanky AC.
Yeah.
And you generally, like, from what I know about you, and I think we've discussed this off stream before, but like you essentially are a cleric. like you as a person. And I asked Zach this kind of to bring us to a close last week. But there's a very big difference between the class that you are, that you would present in the world, and the class that you would want to be, or like that you would want to see yourself in or grow in.
To grow, to become, to manifest.
That you would want to manifest for yourself. And I think Zach last week said that he is a bard. Like he himself would probably be a bard, but in growing would want to do paladin-y things and would see himself as kind of this powerful, force of good and
so you say I'm a cleric. I agree with that sentiment. Support myself, support my friends, dedicate myself towards that as practice and
party
as
morals,
a calling.
Party values.
Tanky AC.
Tanky AC. It's a really good stream name. Tanky AC. Yeah. Don't steal it. Anyway.
Because they're few and far between out here. Names for D&D streams. We wouldn't know.
We've never had anything experience with that.
No. I would say I would want to grow more into being a bard. I think so. Maybe like two ships passing a little bit. Me and Zach, and maybe we can grow.
He'd pass it off to you.
We can grow together. But
part of that ship.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
there we go.
The romance.
Ooh. But latching on to more eloquence and natural ability to flow in speech and talent with people in any room, in any space, to have that boldness, that confidence, and bards still, again, also put a lot of time into their craft and their knowledge base and to their art forms, and having more time to work on my craft, to develop that art to a point where it moves people. Are you kidding? I would love that.
Yeah. I could see it. I could see that. You have some natural essence.
Yeah. And it does, I mean, like, I think a lot of people get hung up on like, oh, bards are performers, singers, musicians, and like, no, like bards can be writers, bards can just be like people who
travelers,
who are travelers, who have their knowledge base, who just like, anything that you do it well enough, and it can move people. So
I like that. That's fun that it's like you and Zach are kind of in the opposite spectrums of like what you would be naturally versus what you would want to like dedicate yourself towards. I like that. We do have a little stream chat. What would be the nega Ian character?
The opposite Ian character.
The opposite. Wait, so like you as a character, or like the opposite of Rev?
Well, Rev is based quite a bit off me.
That's true, I guess. Yeah. What's nega? Because we have that like nega situation.
Oh, truly, yeah.
What's nega Rev?
So yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, this is fun.
Because I don't even remember how. I remember kind of how most of us were described, but I'm not latching on to anything to like create a vision of Nega Rev.
Yeah, I think. I mean, he in the vision falls into Demetrius's hands and influence once more, and becomes kind of a malicious warlock who latches on to that source of power. I think the opposite of me, because I'm largely like you said, as a cleric, like doing do no harm is kind of like, it still always feels like that first stage of developing a character that is so based around healing. I think even just like evil paladin, somebody who would like go through and harm harm people with like this false sense of like divine like intention and justice, but like hurts the people around him, hurts the people that don't have any means to protect themselves. I think all of my characters, they tend
Sir
to be,
Gaslight.
yeah,
Sir Gaslight.
Gaslight.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
They tend to be outsiders, even in the groups that they belong to, and I think somebody who's takes the privilege and opportunity that they have to help people and does the opposite and helps themselves and hurts people. So
Hurt people.
hurt people do hurt people.
Before you guys wrap up, I have a surprise for you. From our
sponsors,
from our lovely my lovely fiance and the wonderful Emily Kipp has created a poster for Matt's long shot. And I am going to send it to both of you on Discord right now, and then we'll show the stream.
Oh my god.
But you guys gotta see this.
Woo!
Okay, so if you are right now, we have coming up, Matt is going to be hosting our next long shot on Monday, and it just so happens to be March, and March Madness is coming
up. Hey, you gotta get ready. You gotta get ready
Emily.
for this March Madness.
Emily, that is exquisite. I'm so excited for this. I'm so excited to see what hell literally comes up from this.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to explore Matt's brain, because we've seen some very fun characters from him. I don't know, have we done a one shot with him?
We have off stream.
Okay.
We have a couple that are in the vault that Zach, I was talking to Ian before this and saying, if we need to release some for funsies, especially, I don't think you played, but Matt kind of homebrewed this like horror movie campaign for a Halloween thing, and we were all just regular people. We were level 0. We had like 1 feat that made us a little bit different. We could pick our skills and stuff. It was like very, very amazing. But yeah, so not to take it off of Ian, but you're gonna DM, I'm sure, for some
It'll come
shots.
up, yeah.
But be on the lookout for that. We're gonna finish up our Star Wars campaign on Monday. You'll see some posts and socials about that, and then the following Monday was when we'll start March Madness. So get your brackets ready, because we're going to hell, which seems fitting for March Madness.
Yeah,
and March Madness.
Yeah,
sports. Yeah. Sorry if you like them. I'm good. I got what I came here for, which was your friendship.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Thank you so much for bringing it and fostering it and sharing it with the world.
Now we're gonna have snacks.
Snacks.
Now we're gonna have food and pet kittens. That's it.
Yeah.
Love you all.
Thanks so much for showing up in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. See you Sunday for another Arubrian session. And we're gonna say bye together.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say it just like that.
As everybody says, bye.